Charlotte's attitude toward crime reached a boiling point in early 2008. Violent crimes were edging higher. Robberies, home break-ins, and assaults were posting double-digit increases. Parts of the city that were thought to be immune from crime rashes were now seeing it on their doorsteps.
3 of my neighbors had their doors kicked in and their homes robbed.
So one night in late April of that year, about 100 people marched on City Hall.
I've lived in New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C. I've never felt in any one of those cities I needed to own a handgun. I bought a handgun in Charlotte.
Something has to change.
2 weeks later,
all in favor of that motion, raise your hand, please.
City Council approved a crime-fighting package, nearly $2 million for additional police officers and district attorney staff, new positions at the CMPD Crime Lab, and 100 new electronic monitoring devices. The package also set aside $3 million for future technology improvements in the DA's office and at the courthouse.
We believed that there were opportunities to partner with the state to find some technology solutions to speed up prosecutions and to undercut the repeat offender problem that we were facing.
Mayor Anthony Fox was a city councilman at the time. He voted for the money.
For about a year and a half, the money was sitting there waiting on a technology solution.
The technology money is now being put to use, but not at the courthouse.
The city council used part of it to plug the hole for the libraries this past year, and that's actually where most of it's gone.
$1.4 million. Another $750,000 paid for new police uniforms and protective clothing for officers. $310,000 for a disparity study to measure the use of minority and women-owned businesses in city contracts. Nearly $95,000 for maintenance at Imaginon. So what began as a pot of $3 million is now down to less than $450,000. The city says they couldn't afford to let the money keep gathering dust during the recent budget crisis. Mayor Fox adds that the state's administrative office of the court never came back to City Hall with a plan for the technology money.
Literally, we've had money sitting there waiting for a solution, and there hasn't been a solution ready to go.
So what was the holdup in Raleigh? For one, they say they didn't know about the $3 million until they were contacted last week by WBT. That story tomorrow. Chris Miller, WBT News. Before the City Council okayed the crime-fighting dollars more than 2 years ago, District Attorney Peter Gilchrist was asked what he needed.
A very high priority is an information system that allows us to monitor what is going on in our court system.
But as WBT News reported Monday, the $3 million the City Council put in reserve for technology upgrades at the DA's office and the courthouse was never touched and is now being used for libraries, police uniforms, and other initiatives. City officials told WBT News the state's Administrative Office of Courts never came back with a plan for upgrading the technology. WBT News contacted the state last week, and the fact that $3 million had been set aside 2.5 years ago came as news. Greg Stahl, who is in charge of budget and technology at the Administrative Office of Courts, said he had never heard of the reserve fund. Todd Nuccio, the trial court administrator at the Mecklenburg County Courthouse, said he too wasn't aware of the money, but several city officials told WBT News Monday there had in fact been discussions involving Nuccio, DA Gilchrist, and others about the technology dollars. It wasn't clear where the apparent breakdown in communication occurred that Raleigh wouldn't know about the money. City Council members told WBT News the state would have been reluctant to spend the money on upgrades for Mecklenburg County that wouldn't have worked with technology platforms in other counties. And Greg Stahl, the court budget official in Raleigh who did not want to come on the air, said that's true to an extent because of the manpower and resources it would take to get 2 different programs in 2 counties to work together. About $450,000 is now left in the reserve fund. It's unclear whether the city will replenish the reserve fund. This doesn't mean Mecklenburg County is going without new programs to help modernize information sharing. Last week, the state controller announced they will soon roll out a statewide expansion of the CJ Leads program, which was developed following the murder of UNC student body president Eve Carson.
It is a system that allows all of the major players that touch on the criminal justice system to share information.
Mayor Fox says that goes from the officer making the arrest to the prosecutor filing the paperwork.
That allows us not to have people standing over a copy machine wasting time on clerical work when they could actually be prosecuting cases and working on the next case.
The program should arrive in Mecklenburg County by the end of the year. Chris Miller, WBT News.